Everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Christine, and I'm going to do my weekly wrap-up. Yesterday was a holiday, as we celebrated Canada Day on Sunday, but everybody got stat holiday yesterday. And we had a 12-hour reprieve from the heat, and now it's back to the plus 40s. So, as soon as I'm done this video, I'm jumping in the pool. And if you can hear my cat meowing in the background, please ignore. So the first book I finished was A Courtesan's Guide to Getting Your Man by Celeste Bradley and Susan Donovan. I thought this was a time travel one, and it's not. It's a dual timeline. And this museum curator, I forget the names, sorry, she finds these very racy journals from like the town's favored or much beloved person of the town, and she fought for women's rights back in the 1800s. And so her and her friend decide to do a makeover for her to try and get, I wouldn't say her ex back, but a guy that she was crushing on back, using this courtesan's journals. And the whole town did not know that she was, in fact, a courtesan in London before she came to Boston, which is where it takes place. I gave it a 4. There was a few things that I can understand why they're in there, but they were pretty racy, very graphic, very descriptive, and a little bit on the vulgar side, but it is what it is. So story-wise, it was very well written. I flew through, like, it was really, really interesting to see how this one woman goes from being a courtesan to I wouldn't say highfalutin person, but a respectable member of the society. And it was her choice that she went in as a courtesan because she wanted to be boss of her own world, essentially. She didn't want somebody to be telling her what to do, stuff like that. So then I read The Prince by Kira Cass. It's a selection novella, and it's about when the prince is first meeting, or when the king's, that gives away, when the girls are picked and first meeting the girls of the selection series. So I gave it a 3 or a 4? Let's see, right in front of me. I gave it a 3, and the other 2 are 4s. So I had to bring the books back, so I had things marked out to talk about, but they had to go back to the library. So the next book I read was A Place Called Harmony, and it's from the Harmony series by Jodie Thomas. And this is how the town of Harmony is first brought about. And it's a man who wants to start this town so that his family can come, and his family refused to come and live with him in this, middle of nowhere trading post. And his name was Eli. Harmon Eli. That's what his name was. So he wants to build up this town so that his family can come and live with him. And he's one of those grumpy old men that you kind of, you like. So all these 3 families come together and their backstories, and it was really, really well written. And some of the choices of the characters were really smart. Yeah, that one takes place in the 1800s as well. But yeah, like a girl just getting out of prison and agrees to marry this man she doesn't know because the sheriff had told her that he's very reliable, and she had just had a baby. And you find out her backstory later on, and you find out his backstory because he doesn't want to be married to anybody because he had lost his wife and 2 kids due to a flu. So they go off, and then the other couple is 2 people that knew each other as teenagers, and his father beat him every time he tried to leave and denounced him as a son, and he was following the devil's work. And meanwhile, all he's doing is, being a carpenter on his own. But he didn't follow in his dad's preacher, his dad wanted him to be a preacher, He wasn't really a preacher, but his dad wanted him to be one. So that's the other couple. And the third couple is a soldier in the army. His wife wants to try and make their marriage work because he only comes to town once a year, and knocks her up and leaves. And even the last, she had twins. She's got 4 boys. He didn't even know about the last 2 because he hadn't been back in a year and a half. So there's that. So it's their stories, and it's really good. And then the last one is The Death Penalty on Trial by Bill Curtis, and it's a Crisis in American Justice. I've said how much I love Bill Curtis, and this talks about 2 different cases where innocent men were put on death row. And the first one, you aren't sure of who did it, and in fact you didn't even see that one coming. But it's all circumstantial evidence that, they're like, I can't think of the word, but they're pushed into it. Like the officers and the investigators and the lawyers just want to hurry up and get it done. So he was exonerated, and another man was found, but they didn't even test the DNA, which boggles my mind. But it was the early 90s, so I mean, when they were able to, they did it. The second case is what really, really ticked me off, because right from the start, you know who did it. And the investigators even saw blood on him, and he just said, well, I touched my daughter. Meanwhile, he had his wife's blood on him. And they tested it, and they knew that, and they still thought he was innocent. They blamed this one guy. He was pretty much the town scapegoat. If anything bad happened, blame him. He had ADHD. He was a crack addict. Even though he had friends and family saying that he was at home, calm, he had a shower at this time, he was nowhere near this, like, they all said, oh, you're just lying for him. And they could have done the DNA, and they didn't. It was all circumstantial and what the lawyers wanted to be presented. And so he was put on death row. And so it's Bill Curtis going over these 2 cases and why he has changed his mind from believing in the death penalty to not believing in it. And I'm conflicted, because being in Canada, we don't have it. But in some circumstances, I believe it is needed. Especially, and this is what kills me too, they know who killed the girls. He killed his wife, his 2 daughters, and his niece. And they haven't found him. He took off as soon as the other guy was exonerated. And the brutality with which he killed his kids, he almost severed their heads. He disemboweled them, and these are like 8-year-olds. Like, they're doing nothing about it. As far as I know, I tried to look into it, and he still hasn't been caught. And it's all because these lawyers refuse to put evidence out there to say that this other man was innocent, because they all wanted just the scapegoat to go away. And I think that is atrocious. So for him, he really, really needs the death penalty because of the way he massacred these people. So, but on the other hand, I can see Bill Curtis's point, because there's 2 men that were railroaded. That's the word. Railroaded into these death penalties because of the lawyers and the investigators' hidden agendas. They're trying to further their careers. They want it all done now. They don't want to deal with anything. Like, it's just, you shouldn't become a lawyer for the money. You shouldn't become a lawyer to become a better politician, to become president. You shouldn't become judges and police investigators if all you're going to do is railroad innocent people into death row, and stuff like that. So what I think is, and I know I'm ranting, I'm sorry, they shouldn't solve cases based on how fast they need to do them. They should solve cases based on fact and evidence. And if it takes a little while longer, I'm sure the families would understand if they get the right person. These families have to go through this whole thing over and over again because the wrong people are in jail for something that they didn't do. So I believe in the death penalty to the point, I guess, where these vicious massacring people shouldn't be walking the earth. Mind you, I've never been in that situation. I don't know how I would handle it if I would ever have to be in that situation. So I can't really say if I would believe in it if that were to happen to me, like these situations. So it's hard to say. I do believe that if it's putting the wrong people on death row, then yeah, it needs to be abolished. Make them suffer in jail, life in prison with no amenities, no TV, books, like, mind you, that causes riots too, so you can't win at all. Anyways, rant over. Currently reading. I'm currently reading Now That You Mention It by Kirsten Higgins, and my opinions could change. It doesn't mean if you, I know I don't want to lose subscribers based on my opinion of this. If you disagree with me, great. If you agree with me, great. Like I said, I'm conflicted because I don't know. In Canada, we don't have to deal with this. So, I think that's why I'm so, for it or against it. I don't know. I hate to see innocent people put to jail and put to death. But the people that do these atrocious things shouldn't have amenities and, whatever. Enough said. So yeah, I'm reading Now That You Mention It by Kirsten Higgins. It's really good. I know there's a character in here from one of the other series that I started of hers. I've only read the first book, and it was Catch of the Day. And apparently he's in the third book, I think. I don't know what it was called. Fool's Russian. I'm not sure. But anyways, but he's just a minor character anyways. So this is about a woman who gets hit by a van and decides to go back to her hometown of Scupper Island outside of Boston. And her boyfriend, while she's in the hospital after getting hit by a van, is telling his love interest that he was going to break up with her and decided, well, he can't do it now because she just got hit by a van. But so that's what makes her go back to Scupper Island, because she's like, you know what, screw you, see you later. What I can't get is everybody on Scupper Island absolutely hates her, despises her, and I can see part of it, but not the rest. Because you kind of get her background as well. But when she was a kid, her father had actually left his job to write a book, and their mother hated it because he was the fun-loving parent. He took them out, had fun, and she was very hating of that. So he left, and she became even more of a bitch. So her younger sister actually went up to their mother and said, I hate you. You kicked him out. I hate you. But she still loved daughter, whereas this one, who's done nothing wrong except for get a scholarship and leave town, has straight A's and is despised by her mother. Like, I don't get it. And then her sister stops talking to her, and then now her niece hates her, and I can't figure out why. I can understand why some of the townspeople hate her, because it was between her and this other boy, Luke, and she did an extra credit project in order to win the scholarship to med school, because that was the only way she was going to get to go to med school. And so the day that it's announced that she was the winner, he went out, got high on coke, and smashed the car. He walked away from it. His twin brother has a brain injury. Turns out he's okay, but he's got a few things. But I can understand why his mother hates her and why he hates her and why his girlfriend, whatever, hates her. But the whole entire town, when they realize who she is, because when she left, she was 40 pounds overweight, and now she's lost the 40 pounds and she's a whole totally different woman, and that's bullshit for one. 40 pounds on a 5'5" woman is not a whole lot. 40 pounds on me, if I was only 40 pounds overweight, would still be not that drastic of a thing. So nobody recognizes her until she says who she is, and everybody's like, oh, bye. And, you know, so I can understand some of it, but I'm really looking forward to finding out why even her family hates her. Like, her sister's in jail, so her niece is living with her mom, and they won't talk to her. They one-word sentences, and they're like, why do you even bother? What do you care? Like, really? So I'm anxious to find out why everybody hates her so much. And yeah, and her ex decides not to go with the new girl, and he wants her back, kind of, yeah, sort of. So I haven't heard back from Sharon yet, but we were supposed to be buddy reading this, and I'm doing about 60 pages a day. So, yeah, really enjoying it. And the other book I'm currently reading is A Man of Privilege by Sarah M. Anderson, and it's book 2 in the Lawyers in Love series, and it is about the prosecutor from the previous book working on this case, this corruption case, with a judge from the previous book, and he needs to find this witness, and he finds it, and she walks in, and he's like, she doesn't look like her mugshot, because she has a history of prostitution based on this corruption case. I'm liking it. It's actually fairly good. About a little over halfway there. I didn't get much reading done yesterday or else I would have had it done. But I've been working on my Etsy shop, so business before pleasure. So yeah, but they're all saying that this guy's drop dead gorgeous. I'm sorry, but the guy on the cover, I mean, how well you can see him, he just not that to me, anyways. But yeah, so they're working on this corruption case. Not much more I can say about it. They're really quick, easy reads. Alana, I think I'll text you tonight to see if you want to start the Lovers Unbound, the next book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Because I really want to get that read, and I really miss buddy reading. As for what I'm going to be reading this week, I just picked up, actually, went to the library a few minutes ago, and picked up Six Grave on the Edge by Dorinda Jones, book 6. So I might pick this up, you know, something funny, because I love Charlie and Reyes. So yeah. Oh, and yes, my phone's going off. So that'll probably be it for this week. Let me know if you've read any of these, how you like them. Yeah, what you're reading, and I will talk to you later. And yes, Alana, I will text you tonight. Hope everybody has an awesome day, and see you later. Bye.